best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Yes, indeed. And we are pleased to have the owners of that fine establishment with us here live and in the studio, ready, willing, and more than able to take any phone call inquiries from you concerning the price of a car or a truck or an SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in. So how do you do that? 478-3116, 478-3116 is the number to call. And you, too, can be connected to Ivan Streckel and Ron Schneider. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, Don. Thank you. You've done this before. Good job.
Oh, yeah.
we have a double format today. For those of you that are listening on the radio right now, this is 1370 Talk AM Radio. It is a call-in show. If you want to get a value on a vehicle, you can call us in. But if you're watching this on cable TV right now, this is a pre-recorded show. And if you want a value on your car, if you're watching this on TV, call the dealership at Frontier Motors, which is 436-8080.
And one of the big reasons we do these radio shows and TV shows, let you know there's a lot of free services that actually a used car business is willing to share with you. One of the things, just like Ivan said, is all of the values. And you're not just going to get an NADA value. You're going to get a value from the wholesale book. You can get a value from the Manheim Market Report. And then you can get the report from that NADA. And if you take all three of those, and this has probably been brought to us about 8 years ago, where we've been able to put all three together at one time on one screen, now we can be precise. And that helps you out if you're going to sell your car, or if you're one of those people that don't want to buy a used car and you said that you told your wife you're going to buy a new car on our anniversary, or you told her next year you're going to buy a new car, we can help you with the trade. So 478-3116 for the radio station here, or as Ivan said, call the dealership and we will help you out with that. We are an independent used car dealership just outside of Car City. Everybody knows where Car City is on Highway 29. We're located, if you come south on 29, go past the Whataburger right there, and you notice the big Pensacola Christian Academy on the corner. Take a right on Beverly Parkway. That's Beverly Parkway. If you take a left, that's Brent Lane. We're about 2 or 3 blocks on your right-hand side. So come and see us. We're easy to find, low overhead country, as the commercial says. What does that really mean?
Well, it means that we decided 19 years ago when we bought the dealership, we wanted to go to Car City, but we had kind of got sticker shock because we went and looked at properties in Car City 19 years ago, and even a postage size lot would be $500,000. A decent lot with a good building was over $1 million. We bought our place outside of Car City by about 2 blocks for $105,000. We've added on since then in increments, smaller increments. So we've got a pretty good sized lot now that houses over 300 vehicles. But we don't have a mausoleum. We don't have a showroom. We don't have an indoor showroom. And we did that on purpose to reduce our overhead. And obviously, the less the overhead is, the less we need to make on a car to stay in business. And that's one of the things that I sometimes snicker at when some of these dealerships, especially new car dealerships that have multi-million-dollar buildings, talk about their low overhead. I try to figure out how that goes together. Because the more expensive your building is, the higher your taxes are. The more expensive your building is, the more your insurance is. And it just goes on and on and on. Not to mention that if you have a franchise, there's a lot of fees that are in effect when you are a franchise dealership. Ron and I both worked for franchise dealerships almost as long as we've been an independent dealer, and we know from firsthand that working for a franchise dealership, you're not really always able to do what you want. What we decided to do 19 years ago was open up a dealership where we could make it really easy for a customer to buy a car. What I mean by that is none of the back and forth things that you're going to get at some of the dealerships, whether it be anywhere. I'm from Wisconsin originally. Ron is also. We moved down here. There's a lot of dealerships still do it the old-fashioned way, where it's, you go back there and you start doing battle back and forth. And what if I do this? Would you buy it today? We don't do that at Frontier Motors. What you're going to find is that Ron, myself, and our other 3 sales managers are going to give you a bottom line price right off the bat. We're going to give you a fair trade-in appraisal right off the bat, and we're going to add all the fees up and give you an out-the-door figure in writing. And that figure is going to be lower because of our low overhead than all of the other dealerships in Pensacola, and that's why we've really done better than any independent dealership in Pensacola.
We've kept it simple, and simple is easy. In front of me, I have about 4 or 5 advertisements, and all they are doing for dealerships is trying to lure you into the dealership. Now, once they get you there,
Get you.
now they think they can play the game. And That's not what we're all about. You know, there really is no, we've said this for years and years, there really is no big sale. There really is no change of prices, especially in the used car industry. Now, sometimes in the new car industry, they'll throw some incentives. They might throw some interest rates. They might throw some things to get you there. I've got a mailer in the mail this weekend, Ivan. It gave me a free debit card.
What?
Yeah, free debit card. But I got to go to the dealership first. Then I got to get it lined up, and then I got to get it, put my name in there, and then I got to get my social security number, and then I got to do this, and I got to do that. Well, again, it's all a gimmick. And one of the things that Ivan talked about that we had so many years experience before we opened this dealership is we found the good and we found the bad. And what we did is we threw the bad away and brought the good with us here. And, you know, things like opening up the cars all in the morning. 90% of the dealerships in our area don't do that. We thought it was easier for the customer so they could look from car to car to car. We put window stickers on the cars. We put the as-is on top of the cars. We made a price sheet that is just like this, that if you come to our lot, you can take and walk around with the cars and has all the prices on. Ask any franchise lot for something like these things, and they don't have it. And that's why we say we're doing business the old-fashioned way. Well, the old-fashioned way was they had a price on it. Ivan's mentioned many times, many years back, that, you know, if you wanted to arm wrestle on the hood, that's what we'll do. If you want to deal outside, that's what we'll do. If you come in and you want your car appraised before you look at another car, so you know how much money you're working with, you can do that at Frontier Motors. Doing business the old-fashioned way.
There's a lot of things that we do for free at Frontier Motors, which is hard to believe until you stop in. One of the things that we do and have been doing since we hooked up with Carfax about 5 years ago is we run free Carfax reports. And I was the other day, I was online, Ron, looking at a car on, it was on Auto Trader, and it was from another car dealership. I had a customer interest in the car, so I clicked on the car, and the ad said, "Show me the Carfax." So I clicked on it right away. That way I didn't have to run one myself, and it directed you to the Carfax site, and it said that to get that Carfax from that car dealership was $39.95.
Whoa.
So in other words, there was a link to Carfax, but it wasn't free. At Frontier Motors, what we'll do is we'll run the Carfax for you at no charge, and it saves you $40. So if you're looking at your neighbor's car or you're looking at a car on Craigslist, that's not a car dealership. Most of the car dealerships now run Carfaxes for you, but they'll only do it on a car that they have in inventory. And I see Ron ran one here on a car the other day. That was a 93 Chevy Corvette, which is kind of a special vehicle. So
sure, nice car, he said.
A car is going to be, a Corvette is going to be something that is very difficult to sell if it has any issues. And I noticed that there's some yellow highlights, which yellow in the Carfax means bad. And it says that it had a major accident and the airbags were deployed. Now, that doesn't mean that car wasn't fixed properly, but normally what's going to do is that car is going to have what we call in the car business diminished value. In other words, it's going to be less than a car that had not been in an accident. And Ron's going to expound on diminished value for a minute.
Well, diminished value means that if someone has damaged your property, it doesn't really mean cars, it can mean your house, it can mean anything, but if they've damaged your property without any fault to you, you are entitled to some diminished value. And in automobiles, it's basically like this. If you're sitting at the corner of 9th and Brent Lane and young person's texting you and clocks you in the back.
Why does it have to be a young person? Why are you picking on young people? Old people text also.
Okay. Someone texting with their grandparents runs into the back of your car, and you just bought this 2014 brand new Nissan. Let's just pick on them because there was just one down there. And you have 4,000 miles on it, clocked it, and it did $7,000 worth of damage to your car. Now, just like Ivan said, there's great body shops in town. You probably bought at the Nissan store. You might take it over to the Nissan store and ask them where. Or you might take it to Cook's or any one of these great body shops in town and get it fixed. But when you go to sell this vehicle, you have now diminished the vehicle. And here's how simple it is. If, let's say, for instance, you live up there in Cantonment and you're thinking this weekend you're going to go down and you're going to look for a car, and you see a Nissan in Fort Walton, you see a Nissan in Pensacola, and you see a Nissan in Mobile. And then you start doing the investigation. They're both S models. They both got about 4,000 or 5,000 miles. And all of a sudden you pull a Carfax, and the one in Pensacola has a $8,000 damage, previous damage. It's got to be cheaper. So if this one was $21,900, this one was $21,500, if this one's $18,500, you're going to be able to sell it. And that's where the diminished value comes in. And we look at it in some of these bumper-to-bumper things aren't so bad. It's still different, like in a Lexus. If you have a bumper damage and it's a couple $1,000s, you still could have some diminished value. But if you have an accident, $7,000, $8,000, or $9,000 or $10,000 or even higher, we had one that was $14,000, and they got a diminished value of over $6,000 for the vehicle. Wow. Now, how you can do that, just come by Frontier Motors, bring me the copy of the repair bill, bring me your car after it's all finished, and I get the ID number and the miles off of there, and I can give you a small letter. It's just a one-piece letter that you can give to the adjuster that you can apply for this. If you have any other questions for that, just dial 436-8080, 436-8080 at the dealership. Most of the time, just ask for me, Ron Schneider.
I had a customer of ours, Ron, that had a 2012 Sonata, and she got, somebody ran into her, and it wasn't major damage, but it was about $4,000 in damage, and the wheel got kinked. They had to put a new wheel on it, and I was able to help her get $1,800 of diminished value by just writing a letter saying that we feel that based on a current appraisal of this vehicle, that if we were to take the vehicle in trade with a history report, which is going to be on the history report that she's been in a moderate, they called that a moderate accident, was over $2,000, it's a moderate accident, that the diminished value in my eyes was going to be somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000. They ended up settling at $1,800. And again, this is an opinion. I think that Ron and myself are the only people that we know of in Pensacola that will put diminished value in writing. A lot of dealerships don't want to get involved. And we even had a franchised customer come in that bought a car from a brand new franchise dealership in Pensacola. They only had the car a couple of weeks. They got clocked. Somebody ran a light, and they went back to the dealership to get a letter of diminished value. And the dealership said, I'm sorry, you'll have to go to Frontier Motors because they're the only ones that we know that do that.
They bought 7 cars from this import dealer in Pensacola, and they would not do it again. They said they vowed they would never buy another vehicle if they wouldn't at least give them but that's just something we're helping you with. It's just one of those free services, the Carfax, getting values. If you're settling in the state, one of the things that you got to do sometimes is every once in a while, mom, dad go somewhere, somebody's going to leave a car. Well, if you want to bring it by Frontier Motors, let Ivan, myself, or one of our great sales managers, Keisha Todd in Monroe, look at the car, put the value on paper, give you 7 days to decide if you want to either sell it to us, sell it to a relative. We'll help you out with that. It's free of charge. It's not like we're going to try and sell you another car. That would be stupid. Or we're not going to try and make you trade it because that would be silly. What you're trying to do is settle an estate, or you're trying to get rid of a car. Or let's say you're a 2-car family right now and you go down to a 1-car family. My mom and dad have done that. My dad's 85, mom's 80. They don't need 2 cars. They need 2 cars like a hole in the head. They only go to the doctor and back and forth maybe to a restaurant once in a while. So they sold their second car. Now, what if you're going to sell your second car and you got a nice late model car? Bring it to Frontier Motors, drive it up there, ask for Ivan or Ron or one of the great sales managers. We'll come out, take a look at your vehicle, give you an appraisal, and give you 7 days to think about it. Now, I think the 7 days thing just takes the pressure off a little bit. Now, if you're ready to do business that day and you have the title with you, guess what? You get a check. If you have a car and it still has a payoff on it, there's 2 plans we can do for you. You can either go pay that car off and bring us the title and we'll write you a check, or bring us the vehicle, we'll do the payoff, and we'll give you the remaining amount when the title gets to the dealership. Makes it real simple, real easy. We buy cars. And that goes back into, I know that you buy a lot of cars through the auto auctions. We buy a lot of cars through our local sources here, but we also buy cars off the street.
We do. We buy from private individuals, and a lot of the time that we spend on the air here, we talk about the fact that we do buy cars. I'd rather buy it from a private individual like yourself. If you're going to put your car on Craigslist or eBay or AutoTraderCars.com, bring it to Frontier Motors. We'll do a couple things for you. Number one, we'll give you a history report in writing. So if you don't have a history report on your car, we'll give it to you, and you can hand that to your prospect. The other thing we can do is tell you what the vehicle should be selling for based on if we have a vehicle like that. And what happens a lot of times when you come to the dealership, and let's say you've got a car you want to get appraised because you're going to buy a brand new Chevrolet Sonic at either one of our 2 local dealerships, either going to go to Pete Moore, Sandy Sansing, and you come to the dealership, and let's say you've got a 2005 Jeep Wrangler that you want to trade in on that Chevy Sonic, so you want to get an appraisal from us. So Ron and myself, or one of the sales managers, will do an appraisal and say, we feel your Jeep Wrangler is worth $12,000 in cash. And we'll either write you a check for that so you can buy the vehicle, the brand new Sonic, from one of the Chevy dealers. But what happens a lot of times when you're at the lot and we're appraising a vehicle because we're going to drive around the lot, one of the salesmen might show you our 2014 Chevy Sonic that we have on the lot with 799 miles on it. So the whole thing, that our claim to fame at Frontier Motors, other than helping people whether they buy a car from us or not.
Good example is we talked with one of the executives that we deal with at Enterprise Rental Car, and they had a 2014 F-350 that one of their big companies in Birmingham ordered. It was for a company vehicle, and they got it all ordered. It was an F-350, 4x4 diesel, and $57,000 vehicle. And they got it in, and the company said, "Oh, I can't use it right now. We're running out of money." so the Enterprise says, "Oh, man, what do we do here?" So what they did is they went through their chain of dealers, including us, all down here in the Southeast, and said, "Look, I got a 2014 F-350, 4x4 diesel, got 300 miles on it. we're open for bids. Well, Ivan and I figured out what invoice was, what the dealer paid for it, and we offered just a little bit less than that. And guess what? Sooner or later, we got it. And this vehicle right now, we can sell for $46,000. It was $56,000 at the Ford store. That's a $10,000 savings for 300 miles. So if you're a company out there needing to upgrade, maybe you're maybe the owner, the manager, or maybe your superintendent's been doing well, and you need something that can save you a little bit of money in this economy. Here's the deal, and that's why we bought it. We thought it was a good enough deal that somebody in our area is going to buy this thing and save some money, and sooner or later they will. That's exactly what every car is bought for. Hopefully we buy them and then we sell them. You know, Ivan talked earlier about keeping that overhead down. You know, the overhead also keeps the pressure off of us. It keeps the pressure off of the top guys, and then the pressure doesn't go to the bottom. You don't have these sales meetings where you got to yell at your salespeople to get them going. You got to motivate them. You got to put the pressure on them to do this, and you got the pressure on them to do that. I was talking with one of this young salespeople. It's a friend of my daughter's, and he's working for a local dealership. And he says, we have a meeting every morning. I said, what do they talk about? I don't know. He says, the first 2 weeks I listened, and after that I haven't been able to. But it's go, 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 you know, and get this quota, get that quota, get this quota, get that quota. And where that goes to is you, the consumer. And that pressure is felt when you come onto those lots. If you feel that pressure, if you feel like the salesperson's asking you too many strange questions, back off. You know, Consumer Reports is really, really good. I like them. They say, as soon as you feel that you're not being comfortable, get out. You know, even if you want to come back to that dealership, if you're going to buy that particular model, just step back for a little while and go back and think about it. And one of the things that Ivan and I did when we started this dealership with all of the group there is we wanted to keep the pressure off. So when we give you something in writing with a worksheet with all the figures all the way down, that takes that pressure off. And if it's a good enough deal, we give you enough information to make a decision. You'll buy it when you're there. And 50% of the people that come there, I think they buy and make a decision at Frontier Motors that day they come in because we gave them enough information. We're not hiding.
Well, the comfort level, I think, is the biggest thing, Ron. And I sometimes feel uncomfortable when I go into a store, whether it be at the mall or anyplace else, where somebody comes up, can I help you? And then you've got to well, I just really want to look around. That's the number one thing that you say when you come. And we have customers that do the same thing. They come on the lot, and they really want to look at the vehicles. We've got 300 cars in inventory, over 300 cars actually, and they want to be left alone. Now, we never know what type of customer you are, whether you're the type of customer who wants to just watch or look by themselves, and we'll hand you a price list. Our salespeople are kind enough to unlock every car every morning. We'll give you one of these price lists so you can kind of shop at your leisure. There's other people that we have come in and say, I know exactly what I'm looking for. And we had this happen on Saturday, where a customer came and says, I want an RX 350 Lexus. What do you got? So they went right to a salesman. They wanted help. They didn't want to spend hours at the dealership. We've got like 6 or 7 of these in stock. So that salesman was able to show them all 6 or 7 vehicles, get the keys so they could test drive one. They ended up putting a deposit on one of them, and hopefully they're going to pick it up today or tomorrow. And that is the type of dealership that makes you smile when you come in. I have so many customers that when we thank them for their business, and we take a picture of our customers before they leave, we thank them for their business. One of the things I always ask is, how did you hear about us and how was your experience? People love it. Well, of course, if they just bought a brand new car, they better love it. But they would spend a lot of money on a car. They're not going to say, well, we hate you guys. But what happens is, especially in the used car industry, more importantly, and I guess also in the new car industry, Ron has said before, is that you get that uncomfortable feeling because they're going to do whatever they can to sell you a car then and there, because they've been taught since birth that if you leave the dealership, you won't come back. And we have exactly the opposite attitude. We feel that if we give you all the information, if we treat you right, and if we give you a really good product, that's the one thing, is we really, really are careful with what we buy for the lot to make sure they're very, very clean vehicles, low mileage, and the best of the best. And that we also give you a good price on those based on our overhead, the amount of money that we have to make to stay in business. And then we put it in writing and say, hey, I've already done my research. I know I've got the best deal. So I don't feel uncomfortable letting you leave because I'm scared you won't come back. Because I've already done the research to make sure I'm giving you a good enough deal that you will be back. And that takes the pressure off of you. So many customers that we have, when we tell them, hey, go ahead and shop. We know we have the best deal. We can even show you how we know we have the best deal. They'll say, oh, forget it. I'll just take it. Because they're comfortable that they don't have to make the decision. It almost backfires, and then we end up getting a customer that'll buy the car because they really don't want to go shopping. They just want to make sure that it is a good deal.
Well, if they ask a question like how much fuel mileage is, our salesmen are ready with that. They all have laptops. They all have that information available to them. If they ask them how the safety on this car, they have that information. So they're giving them the information they need. How does it compare in the area? Am I paying too much? Am I paying a little? A lot of them do that. And you could do the same thing by eliminating some of the inventory that we have Today we have 292 cars, $6.5 million in inventory. Now, it can be intimidating. Sometimes you can come there and start looking and trying to decide. But before you do that, go to our website. Go to frontiermotorsinc.com and page through there. You know, maybe eliminate 100 of those, and then try to eliminate another 100 of those so you don't have to look at all of it. But you may find, and I've heard this many, many times from WCOA listeners and from our broadcast listeners on TV, is that they've eliminated it down to 4 or 5 cars that they want to look at, and they'll have that list. And it makes it so much easier for you, the consumer, and the salesperson to help you out. And when the weather gets warm like this and it gets in the 90s during the day, we want to go get that car, bring it up to the office, have the air conditioning blowing cold, so when you get in it, that you're comfortable and you can look at the items in the car. You know, a lot of these times that these dealerships lock up these cars with these key box locks, you know, you got to get into a car that's 140 degrees inside or 130 degrees. It's crazy. So if you bring that list in and go through our website at frontiermotorsinc.com, that's frontiermotorsinc.com, bring us that little bit of list here. The salespeople will bring them up, make sure that they're nice and cool, and make it much more pleasant while you got this heat going on during July and August.
Well, let's talk a little about what's happening in the industry, not just about Frontier Motors. And the top vehicles for May were, and Ron, you probably know this, what's the number one vehicle sold in May? We do this every once in a while.
F-150?
F-150. They sold 68,000 F-150s in just May alone. Can you imagine
That's crazy.
That? So if you take that times 10 months, that's 68,000. So they're going to end up with about 700,000 or 800,000 F-150s, which is, by the way, the F-150 pickup truck is the number one selling vehicle in the United States. Not just a car or truck. The Camry is number 2 because the Camry sold 49,000, so that's almost 20,000 less Camrys that sold last month. But that was the number one car they sold was a Camry. Then the Chevy Silverado with 46,000. The Honda Accord sold 40,000 Accords. The Ram pickup truck made a huge comeback. We need to talk about Jeep and Ram a little bit because we've got a great local dealer right here in Hill Kelly, and Ram had 37,000 sold. The number one increase in sales, other than Maserati, which went up 406%, and the only reason I can think of that is because they sold 2 cars instead of 1. The Jeep Wrangler, not the Jeep product went up 58% last month alone from the year before. 58%. And one of the things they attribute to, Ron, is not just the Wrangler, which they're flying off the shelf. They can't keep them in stock, but the Grand Cherokee. And they have a little article in here about the Grand Cherokee. Now, I don't know, folks, if you've seen the new 11 model Grand Cherokee, they changed the body style. And since 11, it's absolutely gorgeous. It really has taken the Jeep market by storm. And it says that they've got a lot of conquest buyers from higher-end vehicles, including trade-ins from Mercedes, BMW, Range Rover, and Lexus-type vehicles, because people are coming in, and typically they leave with a similar quality with a vehicle at a much lower price. And they talk about that the Grand Cherokee stickers starts at $30,300, and the Mercedes M-Class, which would be the counterpart, starts at $48,000. So you're looking at a difference of $18,000 in the price of a Jeep Grand Cherokee versus a Mercedes. Now, you don't have the stigma like you have with the Mercedes brand, but a Jeep will get you from point A to point B. They're a great quality vehicle. They make them with the navigation, with all of the features that you can get on a Mercedes, and they're $18,000 less. I think it's something to look at, folks. And one of the reasons I mention it because we have Grand Cherokees in stock.
Absolutely, and also we have the new Ford Bronco coming out. The Ford Bronco is coming back with the Bronco 2.
I love it.
Yeah, it's coming up, and Ford Mustang GT is coming up with a 50th anniversary. In 1964, they built the Mustang, and they're going to build 1,964 Mustang GT specialty cars. I looked at one, $55,000, but they're only going to make 1,964 of those. And from someone I heard that they're all taken in the United States already. So if you know anybody and you can schmooze somebody, you might want to do that. But those are just things that are going on in the market. All sorts of new stuff. You know, since that Italian guy took over that Jeep Chrysler, he has really. Yeah, he had really. He got rid of all these partitions, and he put the sales department with the design department. And that's how they're doing so well. They're coming back, and they're making a good comeback. You know, another nice SUV.
Well, Chrysler used to own them. Mercedes used to own the Jeep brand.
Right.
They sold it to Fiat. That's
right.
what Ron's talking about.
Yeah, and then Fiat. But now the other interesting car that I was going to talk about was the Ford. It's not Ford Escape. Ford Escape is new, but the Expedition and the Ford Explorer. The Ford Explorer, when you get inside this thing, it looks like a pilot ship. So these are different things you need to see, and we have them all at Frontier Motors. We're located at 230 Beverly Parkway. 230 Beverly Parkway is right in the middle of Escambia County. Coming down Brent Lane, cross over Highway 29, 2 or 3 blocks on your right-hand side. If you're coming from the Softy Field area, you just come over W Street, and we're on 2 or 3 blocks on your left-hand side.
That's right. So we make it easy, we make it fun. was just waving at Terrace Seville. I got a shout out to Terrace. She just walked by the studio. So if you think I'm going like that, I'm not losing
She's
it.
been around a long time in the radio and TV industry, hasn't she?
Yep, she is.
And what does she do here? Does she do commercials and stuff?
She does a show with us on Saturdays, right?
Oh, really?
An interview show. She goes out during the week to interview various folks and has them on Saturdays.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff.
And Sundays.
Yeah,
And Sundays.
and we do have to, as a matter of fact, Terrace said this, it's a good idea to let the people out there know that used to shop at Winn-Dixie, that Monroe Watley is one of our sales managers at Frontier Motors. He worked at Albertsons for 30-some years, and then he flipped over to Winn-Dixie when Albertsons sold out, and he was working for Winn-Dixie, I think, for 5 or 6 years. And he has decided to join our team at Frontier Motors, and he's been with us for about 6 months now. And Monroe Watley, again, is a sales manager at Frontier Motors. So if you know Monroe, it would be a good time to come in and say hi to him and just get an idea of what we have available. And Monroe can sit with you personally and work out a deal and appraise your car for him. So again, Monroe Watley is working at Frontier Motors, and we also have Todd Gordon.
Todd Gordon, yeah, he used to be the Pensacola Ice Fires, Pensacola, what do they call him now?
Ice Pilots?
Ice Pilots? Ice Pilots, Ice Flyers. Yep,
Ice
he was,
Pilots now, you're right.
previous coach, great guy. I'll tell you, Monroe has really just sparked the energy. He's got that energy. If you all know him from Albertsons and you know him from Winn-Dixie and stuff, he's just got that energy about him, and he has been a great asset for Frontier Motors. He wanted to get out of that business and into the car industry.
He knows everybody.
And he knows everybody. And today he's going to some luncheon, and he's and he knows everybody. He walks up, and he knows he even knows his teacher, his chemistry teacher from Woodham High. But anyways,
Well, it's so much easier to buy from someone you know.
Trust.
If you're ready for the market. I know, Don, we've sold you 4 or 5 cars, right?
6.
6 cars we
Wow.
sold Don, and Don, whenever he needs a car, when he smashes up or blows up or something,
Oh, I
he
just wear 'em out.
He just comes in and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a new one. What we do," and I give him a good price right off the bat. And folks, whether you're a 6-time customer like Don or whether you've never heard of us before, when you come in, we're going to treat you the same. We're going to give you a good price. We're going to give you a good deal. We're going to make it really easy. We're going to appraise your trade-in. If you decide you want to buy a brand new car, buy somewhere else. We're not going to get mad at you. We're going to give you the information to make sure that you get yourself a good deal. So if you found one at a used car dealership, don't tell us what they're asking. We'll tell you what we can get a car like that for to make sure that if you do decide to buy somewhere else, that we're going to help you out. And the reason we do this is we know that's not the last car you're ever going to buy. So if we help you get a good deal somewhere else, the next time around, where do you shop? Or where do you recommend your friends or neighbors or relatives? You recommend them to Frontier Motors.
436-8080 is the real way to do that. We don't have no computers. We don't have no dial this, dial that. Just call 436-8080. Get with one of the salespeople. Or
You're saying we actually answer the phone.
we actually answer the phone.
What frustrating when you call a new car dealership.
Golly.
Man, I need to call you a new car dealership to order a part the other day. It was a joke. I just forgot it. Boom.
Give it to your brother. Say, here, go do this.
My brother can do it. He works in the back. I was just trying to see if they had it in stock, So I am out here. I want somebody to answer the phone. At Frontier Motors, we still answer the phone.
Absolutely, and we call you back if you want to give us a call. Ron or Ivan, when we're doing the radio show, we're gone, but just give us a call there, or come by and visit our website at frontiermotorsinc.com. Make it a little bit easier on yourself with the seat. You can pick out 4 or 5 cars and then come over to the dealership, sit down with one of the great salespeople. They'll go get them off the lot, bring them right up in front of the glass right there, have the air conditioning blowing cold, and you can take it for a ride with your family. Come see us Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, and on Saturdays till 4. Always closed on Sunday, and we are closed on July 4th. We'll be right open back on July 5th. Come see us, Frontier Motors. Remember, everybody drives a used car.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
It can't be beat. Don't overpay. Come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier. We've got the right price. Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors. Low overhead.